What's going on, guys? This is Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, this is yet another addition to the Rumble in the Jungle series. Now, I haven't done a Rumble in the Jungle in quite a while, right? And, I've been meaning to have a series of matches featuring good old Artorias88. So, before I get started, I'd like to offer my thanks and show of appreciation to Artorias88. Now, before I start getting into everything, I don't know if you guys noticed that substandard shield bash that I did earlier. And actually, out of all the things that I've noticed about, at least in the network test of Dark Souls 2, shield bashes are at least a lot more viable in terms of inflicting damage. And like I said before, I don't know what the final result will be, but I do know based upon the experience that I had during the network test that shield bashes for heavy shields, at least they inflicted more than 15 damage. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it inflicted like 15 damage. And that is so broken in my opinion. And granted, the game is and actually I missed that side roll BS right there. And granted, yeah, the game is old, yeah, it won't be patched and all that, but I don't know what they were really thinking. The shield that I'm using currently, the Artorias shield, weighs like 16 units. And you mean to tell me that as heavy as that thing is, it can only inflict 15 damage? Now granted, I'm not saying that it should inflict 500 or even 200. But I think if I get the opportunity to hit you with a shield bash, with a shield that weighs the equivalent to a Black Knight Great Axe, it should at least push you over or stagger you, right? Even if it doesn't inflict damage, it should at least drain most of your endurance, right? Because keep in mind, we're talking heavy shields. And if I have the amount of strength to be able to bash you with it, I mean, there should kind of be an incentive, right? In other words, the animation that you get when you get stuck with the dragon roar or something similar. But, it is what it is. Like I said before, there's really no incentive to use those type of shields unless, you're just kind of using one of those Stonewall builds. Alright, now I'm not saying those shields are not good. I'm just saying at least with the R2s, they could have done at least a little more homework with regards to those shield bashes. So, enough about that rant. I just saw that in the very beginning. I just had to say something about that ridiculous shield bashing of the great shields. So, like I said before, I'm fighting good old Artorias88. I've known Artorias88 for a few months. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've had a few Force videos in the past and a few of my and actually we used to visit the arena pretty often. As a matter of fact, that we were almost at a point to where he, myself, Lagstab, Incoming, and a few other guys, we would be in the arena like almost every day. Now, unfortunately, I think a lot of those guys have moved on to different games because I know once GTA 5 came out, a lot of people just started to disappear. So I don't know if those guys no longer in the arena or all of a sudden they're on the GTA 5 kick. But, I know a few weeks back and even a few months back, we used to always either be in the MLB or the arena, right? So I'm pretty familiar with Artorias88. Now, I just kind of had to tease him for a little while. I'm like, dude, you must have been playing a different game for a while. And he's like, yeah, man, I've kind of been into, I've been playing GTA 5 a lot. So, I've been playing a little bit, but I'm sort of out of the loop. So, it was all good. I thought it was just kind of funny for me to notice that about his gameplay. Now, one thing about Artorias88, that guy uses a lot of low poise builds, and I mean low poise, right? Which is good because, excuse me, whereas some people feel the need to always be optimized, like on every single opportunity during every occasion, players like Artorias88 and even myself at times, I like to use less than optimized builds because, at least for me, it offers a challenge, right? one of the things that keep me excited is finding ways to overcome handicaps, right? And this is just a personal thing. Finding ways to overcome handicaps. In other words, ideally, could I get a build that, has at least 56 poise through every single attack, right? With no punishment. And just do whatever I can to wreck as many people as possible. I could do that. Is that a challenge? Not really. At least not in my opinion. Now, maybe to other people is a challenge, but not to me, it's not. I could get a frippy build where I'm just basically flipping, all across the screen, roll BSing all the time. I could do that. But, would I personally consider that a challenge? Not really, because, like I said before, not to knock anyone who favors that playstyle, but, it doesn't really take that much, at least for me, to just sit back, bait BS's and to do it over and over and over and over again. So, one thing, like I said before, about Artorias and actually that was a good period right there. One thing about Artorias and some of the other people that I play more frequently, a lot of times, some people are under the impression that to handicap yourself automatically means you're bad, right? I don't look at things in terms of good or bad, right? And as a matter of fact, I'm inclined to believe that to the extent that you place limitations on yourself, and if you can overcome, it is more impressive than a person who uses everything the most optimized on all occasions, but they lose to you, right? In other words, I remember in one of the Force videos, I was kind of talking about different strategies and weapons, and I used the Katana, for example, and especially the Chaos Blade, and seeing all the advantages that it has, seeing the potential damage output. One thing that I was saying is that someone who kicks a lot of behind with, let's just say, a mace would be more impressive to me than a person who uses a katana, because the things that comes with the mace are a lot different than what comes with the katana. Whereas a katana has a quick swing, quick recovery, a mace does not. You can be a lot more aggressive with the katana than what you could do with a mace. So in that specific case, for example, it would be more impressive. So that's basically what I mean when I say that, although you might not win every match, and actually I'm not saying that I don't have any respect, but I have a lot more respect for people who pushes themselves and who challenge themselves than for the ones who basically just go for the best of everything. Now, like I said before, if your focus is different, then obviously you'll approach PvP different. In other words, if you're the type of person that, you just strive to be known as being one of the best, then no problem. I don't have a problem. Actually, I don't have a problem with anyone's playstyle because it doesn't affect me, so I don't really care. No problem. But if you're the type of person who pushes the, you experiment with different weapons, maybe you just say, you know what? I think I need to get better on some of these other tactics. That's a lot more impressive, in my opinion, than a person who does nothing but optimizes every single thing, right? Like they use every single piece of equipment that, basically gives them the most perfect build, most poise, most defense, most health. It's a lot less impressive for them to win than for a person with handicaps. Because, you should be winning if you're the most handicapped. If you're the most optimized, right? If you have, more than 2,000 HP, and you're rocking like more than 56 points, you should be winning. Right? There's almost like no excuse because you have everything in your favor. High defense, high poise, high vitality. Right, so enough about that rant. That's one good thing that I like about Artorias88, whether, he wins a lot or he doesn't. At least he pushes himself and he challenges himself. Right, and that's with a lot of people, right? I notice a lot of people who do that, and I think that's admirable. Now granted, there are times where you just want to kick as much tail as you can, so you'll pull out your more optimized builds, but at least you don't depend on them, right? Because I have a few builds that are optimized, right, where I have a whole bunch of vitality, high high defense, high poise, high vitality. I have the whole nine. Well, that's during the times when I feel like just trying to wreck as many people as I can. But then there's other times where I'm like, you know what, it's not even all that deep. I need to kind of work on different weapons. Case in point, the armor set that I'm using now only has 33 poise. And actually, that's a good thing to talk about. A lot of people are under the impression that in order for you to be successful with a strength build, that you must stack poise. That you must have a lot of poise. And you don't have to have a lot of poise to be successful. Another thing that some people are under the belief is that, the benefit to using strength weapons is that you can basically stun lock your opponent into, infinity. That was a nice little pancake right there. I must admit, that was definitely a good pancake. And, you don't have to depend on stun locking. Now, must you be more patient? I would say that's a must for you to be more patient. Must you time your attacks? I would say yes, you have to time your attacks. But you don't need to stack a crap load of poise in order for you to be successful with strength weapons. Because if you notice, I'm using a good variety of strength weapons. I'm switching out my tactics. In some of these matches, I'm using faster weapons along with some of the slower weapons. And when it's convenient, I will switch off to the slower weapons. And when it's convenient, I will switch off to the more faster weapons. Right? So it's not kind of like an all or nothing thing. And that's kind of like one of the downfalls to people who use builds that only focus on one weapon. Case in point, let's just say I used a build that only focused on using that great axe that I was using. Well, of course you're going to have a hard time, right? Because it's extremely slow. So if you're only using that, of course you're going to get rolled BS. However, if you use other combinations of weapons, and you use the great axe when it is convenient, and you kind of switch it up again, you kind of switch it up every now and then you'll start to see a different benefit, right? Then you'll start to say, okay, well, it can be effective, right? There's some times where I can use strength weapons and I'm not getting rolled all the time. And actually, if you guys notice, I was locked onto the tree right there, and it kind of backfired on me. Well, this is the last clip, and actually I wish I could continue this dialogue on strength weapons, but I really don't have a lot of time. So, thanks again, good old Artorias88, for this brief series of the battle. Well, actually not battle of the uploaders, but Rumble in the Jungle. I really appreciate the opportunity. And actually, like I said before, I fight Artorias all the time. So, if you guys want to meet up with him, more than likely he'll be in the MLB because, we're both in here quite often. So like I said again, like I said before, thanks a lot for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And hey, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, Martyr's Brigade is